So we thought we'd share what really helped us before we got married, get on the same page. One of the number one reasons for divorce is finances. If they're hiding that, big red flags in the relationship.
Well, I think we have a great marriage.
Oh, cute. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Brittany and this is my husband, Anthony.
Hello.
And we're here to talk about marriage.
Oh, Jesus, I missed it.
We're not on the same page. I thought you were going to do it with me the last time.
Totally forgot.
Okay. We have a very special announcement. Starting next week, we'll have 2 videos per week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're really excited about this. We've been working hard on a lot of content to make sure that we won't miss a Tuesday or Thursday, and we're really excited to roll it out. Before we jump in, wanted to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. We're a huge believer in counseling no matter what the stage of your life you're in. That's why we love what BetterHelp is doing.
BetterHelp is an online professional counseling service that's accessible, affordable, and convenient.
BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. There's also a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's 15,000 plus counselor network.
They're committed to creating great therapeutic matches so that it's easy and free to change counselors when needed. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your counselor.
You'll get timely and thoughtful responses, plus you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions so you don't have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available.
And just to note, it's not a crisis line, it's not self-help, it's professional counseling done securely online.
Visit betterhelp.com. There's a special 10% off your first month for my YouTube family. The link is in the description below. Anthony and I have been together for almost 11 years, married for almost 8 in September. So we figured out what works for a relationship, and I would say we have a pretty healthy relationship.
I think we struggled a little bit in marriage and stuff and how to communicate, but I think we also put in the time to work on ourselves and work on our marriage, and it's gotten us to where we are now. I don't think we have it completely figured out, but
we never will.
No.
But it does take work. We work together full time.
Added a whole nother facet of this relationship.
Marriage, working together, and still being in love. We've sat down and come together what really made a difference in the engagement process, what we talked about, what we got on the same page about, and we wanted to share that today. Just little tidbits we learned and that have saved us a lot of headache in the long run. First things first, I didn't do this with Anthony, but I recommend everyone doing this. I've listened to way too many podcasts. Someone sounds really good to be true, especially if they're moving fast and their things seem like they're going really well. I would recommend doing a criminal and civil background check. They're pretty affordable. You can do one through, there's online sites that have it, but a civil one is good to know if they owe any huge payments. Yeah, because that way you can see if they're not being truthful at anything. If they're hiding that, big red flags in the relationship. I didn't do that with you because I didn't listen to crime podcasts so much.
At the time, we didn't have the knowledge to. And it may seem like weird or awkward, like someone I'm only dating for a couple months, why am I running a background check? But a lot of things could have been prevented, or things down the line that could,
had you had known that this would be resolved. Note to think about.
Background checks.
Anthony and I also did premarital counseling. We did it through our church, and they really helped us just talk about things that we didn't think to talk about. That was really good because we had been dating and had a really good, I feel like it was the honeymoon stage of the relationship. We're getting really comfortable with each other. It's easy to avoid those really intense conversations, and maybe you guys disagree on some things, and that's okay, but having the conversations is a huge step forward in the right direction to having long-term good communication skills.
And counseling really does provide you with those tools and even put you through certain exercises so that you have that open communication without, if you do have an argument, not blowing up on each other. You take the steps to, okay, let me listen to you, now you listen to me, and we come to like an agreement. It laid the foundation for, well, I think we have a great marriage.
Oh, cute. One of the number one reasons for divorce is finances. At first, I didn't even think that would be the biggest issue. You would think there's different issues that would be
like cheating.
Yeah, more important. Anthony and I took a financial class together before. This was kind of part of our marriage counseling before. The financial class was really helpful for us because we both went through it, and throughout the class, we both sat down afterwards and liked the values. We agreed on it. We made our budget together. we decided that we wanted to pay off our student loans, that eventually we'd want to buy a house, but right now that wasn't the most important thing for us. We went through a different list of financial goals. We had decided to combine our accounts. I know some people don't do that, but for us, it made it feel like it was more of a unity and really trust each other with the whole aspect of our lives, especially finances. We also pulled each other's credit reports. We laid everything out to show exactly what we were dealing with, all the finances we had in the bank.
Because it's really hard to go out and buy a house or to go get a car when, if you don't know where each other stands with regards to credit, with regards to debt. Being all on that same page, you're able to further yourself in the goals that you want for each other.
And the worst thing would be to come, 3 years into the marriage and then find out that you had this whole other thing going on that I had no idea about. That would have been a huge fight and something that we may not have gotten through.
But also too, if you and your partner or, your husband or wife decide to keep your accounts separate, I think, still having that open conversation, like you guys can still go after the goals that you are wanting to do, but you're still talking about your finances and making sure that you're both on the same page, even though they are separate.
Beliefs are hugely important. Your faith or the way you see the world, your beliefs have to somewhat align, and that was hugely helpful for us. I mean, now how we want to raise our kids, what we value, our work ethic, all that really goes back to our beliefs and our core values.
Religion could be like a really big one for an example, because if one of you guys are Buddhist and the other one's a Christian, like how are your beliefs going to match up, or how do you want to raise your kids? If you do have kids, like what are those type of values you want to pass through? So when I first met you, you had explained that you were Christian and I grew up Catholic. It wasn't too far off the spectrum, and I even went to church with your family while we were dating, and it kind of got me back into, listening to the word.
Made you like your relationship with God closer too?
Yeah, relationship with God closer and the community.
It would just been different if we were doing our own thing and he was doing his own thing. It would have seemed a little separate.
And going to church together brought us even closer.
And we were able to find our own church versus you just come to mine and make it just my thing. We researched together and we found one that we're still at today. Children and family. Do you want kids? How many kids do you want? Where do you want to raise your family? Where do you guys want to live? These seem like very basic questions, but you'd be surprised of even some of my friends didn't have these conversations before and are surprised when it comes to the fact that now their husband doesn't want kids and they had no clue to ask them that before. For us, the conversation was not right now. We don't want kids. Eventually down the line. Obviously, that was 10 years ago we were having this conversation. I mean, I already had a 3-year-old at the time, but I was definitely not ready to jump in for another child right away. You were exactly on the same page with me on that. So it wasn't like either of us were trying to convince the other person. We also had the conversation we wanted to stay in California. His parents live in Texas, so that was something that I was not concerned about, but if he was planning on moving away eventually, I wanted to be aware of that because I knew I didn't want to ever leave California, just to be completely honest.
You don't want to be a Texan?
And I wasn't going to move. We also had the conversation about Jaden, that she was in public school. Eventually, I wanted to send her to private school, but that wasn't something that was an option for us at the time, finance-wise. So that was something that we had kind of on the horizon, but it wasn't something that would have made or break the relationship either. It was just conversations we were having.
A common goal, basically. Or some people may think like, oh, he or she may not want kids now, but eventually they'll change their minds.
Yeah.
You just don't want to build your hopes up thinking that they may change down the line and he might flip, she might flip.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen, and then you're kind of stuck.
And you don't want to put your assumptions on someone else based on what you think will happen. You have to go off of what's actually happened, what's being said, because that would be crazy if we got to the point of trying and then you didn't want to have kids.
I was like, I told you.
Yeah, exactly. Then I would be forced to say, yeah,
kidding?
he did tell me that, and I'm still expecting something different. Also, how do you want to be parents to your kids? And I think because we're on the same page with the beliefs, the raising kids aspect has been pretty easy because we're backing each other up on the rules, and Anthony's not making one rule and I'm saying, no, it doesn't, you don't need to listen to dad. We're coming together and deciding what we think is best for our child. We're backing each other up. So it's not like I'm teaming up with Jaden or Anthony's teaming up with Jaden and the other parents feeling
kind of left out.
Yeah.
And it is kind of nice because there are some things that maybe I will go too overboard or you will go too overboard, and then the other parent will say, hey, maybe we chill out, or we back it up. So we do balance each other out. We're not completely always on the same team and we do everything very robotic. Also, I feel like we were raised almost very similar. I mean, we
were.
had siblings. I had 2, you had 3. Our upbringing was very similar, and we wanted to instill certain values in Jaden
Yeah.
and bring her up the way our parents had brought us up.
Yeah, and both of our parents are still married too, and they've been, you know, married for
30 plus years.
Yeah, both of our parents.
Great
And
role models.
Communication. This one is key. I think we learned a lot in the premarital counseling. We did the worksheets about how to conflict resolution and how to come together after you guys disagree on something. It's okay to disagree, but it doesn't mean that it's a fallout to where you don't talk anymore or you're going 3 or 4 days in silence and not talking it out. We did have an issue like right after we got married. We would get really irritated with each other, both of us, and then we would just both peace out for 24 hours.
It just got so heated, and we were just kind of like, all right.
Like, let's take a
just
break.
whatever.
As far as just like taking a break from each other mentally, we realized that wasn't healthy either, because you can't just sweep something under the rug and talk and not talk about it. It's better to just, you know, take an hour or cool off, but then come back together and not sleep on it.
Yeah, it's really important too to hear the other person out. Even though like you feel like maybe, you know, I'm so right. Like, I don't know how she can be oblivious to what I'm trying to say or what I'm trying to feel. But I think it's very important for, you know, both husband and wife to sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to talk about why you hurt me or why this hurt. And then I'll hear from you. And then you kind of come to this resolution of, you know, being heard and maybe finding a way to make it right.
Also, we learn to share that what we're feeling versus what we know as facts. And you really can't disagree with the way someone feels, regardless if you think that's right or not. They are still feeling that way, so it's still valid. And you need to be able to acknowledge that, okay, I understand how you're feeling. Let me tell you why this happened or what I was thinking. But we do want to always acknowledge each other of why we're feeling the way we're feeling.
Yeah, it's very important because we're not in each other's heads. And you may think like, oh, how does she not know this? How can she not see that I'm like hurting so much? Like, she can't. You really need to have that open line of communication. And that was very big for us. And once we were given the tools to be able to communicate, to be able to sit down, to not go to bed angry, and show each other that we do love each other and we do hear each other, I think that was kind of a turning point for our marriage.
And a few years into our marriage, we also did in-person counseling together. We did it once a month. Things were going fine. We just wanted to make sure that we were talking out things, especially from working together. I feel like we were so in work mode that sometimes we wouldn't be talking about relationship things. We'd always be brainstorming about the blog and about how we were doing the different shoots. We forgot that we were married sometimes, and it was just always, you know, we were excited about our business, but we lost a little bit of that. She would ask us like, hey, what's been bothering you guys this week? And you would bring up things. I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea that even bothered you, but you didn't think it was big enough to bring it up. So we really learned a lot more communication skills during the time we were going to counseling, and we still go. I mean, you can never talk too much to each other. You can always learn ways to, you know, keep up your relationship. It takes work, but it's definitely worth it, because I feel like we have a really healthy relationship. We're working together 24/7.
Yeah.
And it's taken a lot
I
of work
could
to get
stand
to
her.
that. I have one more point.
What's your point?
Intimacy. Sexy time.
Is it hot in here?
Jaden's watching this, so let's keep it pretty probes.
She's behind the camera. Jay, close your
Jaden.
ears.
At one point, during we started working together, and during the counseling, she suggested that we schedule it on the calendar every week. We were so busy and we were sleep
It's
deprived.
like you get busy, sleep deprived, you're taking care of, you know, we're taking care of Jaden. Your whole day is so built up, so by the time night hits, you're just so
You're
exhausted.
exhausted.
And then it just day after day, month after month.
Obviously, it just took a few weeks and we got right back in the swing of things, and it's super healthy now. It's easy to say, oh, we just fell out of love, or, you know, it's just not there anymore. But it really does take that effort because, I mean, you guys aren't always going to be in the honeymoon stage, but
And life is either going to get harder or more busier.
it seems unsexy in a way, but it was fun. We had fun with it, and
We have
I think that some people overlook it and they think that, oh, it's fine, you know, it's been months. It's not fine.
we've been married for years.
Yeah,
so we
that's
don't-
not okay. And this is also something we're keeping in mind now as we're going to have a baby in the end of summer. We really want to make sure that we're keeping a good schedule with it. Not like it's always scheduled, but we want to make sure that that doesn't fall to the wayside, especially when we're going to be exhausted from the baby. But we're going to really make that time to maybe have a date night, regardless if we have a newborn. We're going to make that time for each other because it's so important for us in the long term, and we're going to be better parents if we're happier in a relationship together. So these are items that some we did before we married and some we figured out along the way, but we highly recommend getting on the same page with these values.
And if anything, run a background check.
Again, we're not licensed professionals. That's what BetterHelp is for. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure to subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you now on Tuesday for our next video. Bye.